Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Low FIDO Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And it is over. The Denver Nuggets won their first NBA title Monday night, their first title in the 47-year history of their franchise, beating the Miami Heat 4-1. And Frank, I don't know where you are, but as I said a week ago, great organizations can only take it so far in the NBA. Great players win championships. It's been going on for 40 years. Magic, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Steph Curry, LeBron, and now Nikola Jokic. And the Denver Nuggets, I mean, Nikola Jokic was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he was great, but also Jamal Murray. Him and Jamal Murray proved why they are the best duo in the league. I mean, they really stepped up a lot in the finals. And on the Heat side, really outside of Butler and Bam, no one else was consistent. And that was the biggest fear with the Miami Heat going into the series is, were they going to get other guys to step up around Butler and Bam? And that didn't happen. And that's why they lost their second NBA final in 4 years. And that's why the Denver Nuggets won their first NBA championship.
Yeah, the Nuggets came away in Game 5. I think they wanted to put that series away. They didn't want to go back to Denver for Game 6, or they didn't want to go back to Miami. Yeah, I think Miami kind of just ran out of gas. Butler hit a couple of shots kind of late in Game 5, but he had a kind of rough. I think he was 2 for 13 to start. Bam played really well, but yeah, just not enough guys kind of stepped up around him. I just think that he just kind of ran out of gas. Then again, Bruce Brown played really well. Christian Brown played really well. He's won back-to-back title now, national championship, and now an NBA title.
I know. That's crazy. He stepped up big time in Game 3.
He did. Yeah, he did. He had 15 points, and I think most of them came in the fourth quarter, second half. So he played a really good Game 3. He stepped up, and Nuggets had guys that stepped up around Jokic, and the Nuggets found a way to win their first title. They just had a little bit more. They just have more talent than Miami.
Absolutely, and Nikola Jokic was the MVP. Now he has two league MVPs, regular season MVP. Let's call them regular season MVPs because that's when they usually vote. That's when they vote on it. So, but 2 league MVPs and an NBA Finals MVP. And he should have a third straight MVP. I think it was absurd that Embiid won the MVP over him. But the biggest question for right now, I think it's pretty obvious at this point: is he the best player in basketball? And obviously, I'm going to say yes. The guy is he's pretty much unstoppable offensively. He's a 7-foot big man, so he's got the size. But also what a lot of big men don't do is what a lot of big men don't do is they can handle the ball. And he can do that, and he can shoot the three. So he can do all of those things. So that's why Jokic is to me, that's why he is clearly the best player in basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. He can make his teammates around him better. He's done a really good job of doing that. He's just so unstoppable, being a 7'1", point guard pretty much, that he can do so much with the basketball. You don't know what he's going to do with it. He's so good at just taking the basket. It's tough to kind of stop him when he gets in the paint and backs you down. It's tough to stop him. It's going to be so right now. Yeah, I think he's the best player. Again, I know I started to kind of believe in your theory of a big man. Your best player can't be a center, but he's able to kind of, even though I know here's the thing about
my theory. I was more talking about guys like Jokic and Embiid, and why I had that theory is I felt like a lot of centers cannot do what Jokic can do, which means distribute the ball and shoot threes. That's why I had that theory of the best player in the NBA can't be a center. So that's why I felt that way. But I mean, but obviously, seeing what's happened, I mean, with Jokic, he's not, to me, he's not a typical center, and that's why, to me, he is the best player in the league. And you saw he proved it on Monday night. You can win a championship with him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Small market team. They got the right draft choices. Murray, Michael Porter. They've gotten good kind of role guys. Christian Brown, Bryce Brown, Aaron Gordon was an all-star with the Orlando Magic. So yeah, Denver's done a really good job building around Jokic, finding shooters where, if you double him, he's going to be able to find an open guy. And yeah, I think right now the way, hopefully there's more spotlight him on next year, that he's got more national kind of TV games. I know it's tough because they're usually at 10:30 at night, but again, it'd be nice to see them instead of the Lakers 60 times a year. So it'd be nice to watch him a little bit more. But yeah, right now I do think he's the best player in the sport.
Yeah, easily. He definitely is the best player in the sport. There's no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that at all. That he is that guy. And I think that the big question now is, and go back to the Nuggets, is can this Nuggets team be a dynasty? Can this Nuggets team be a dynasty with the way they're constructed? I mean, with pretty much four of their best players not being in their 30s. That's the biggest thing, with four of their best players being in their 20s, and you got Jokic, who's 26, 28, and you got Murray, who's 26. Can this team become a dynasty? That's the big question for the Nuggets. And honestly, I think they could be. They could. I wouldn't say they're going to duplicate what Golden State did, but I think they definitely could be the next team, the model franchise in the NBA.
Yeah, I think so too. Look at the Western Conference right now. It's wide open. The Warriors are getting older. I know you can't count them out next year, but there's not much left in the tank there. We'll see what the Lakers do this offseason. The Clippers with Paul George and Kawhi, can they stay healthy? Phoenix is a two-man show. We'll see what Frank Vogel and that kind of team does to they can get any guys around those two. We'll see what happens with Morant and the Grizzlies with that suspension. I think my Kings are going to take a step back next year. The West is wide open, they could really win that. I could see them win another couple championships the way the West is constructed right now.
Absolutely. Now, I think Phoenix is going to be really good next year because they're going to have Durant and Booker playing at the same time. They're going to be both playing at the same time. They're going to have a lot of time together. They didn't have a lot of time together this offseason. And I mean, you think your Kings are going to take a step back? I still think your Kings are going to be really, really good. And Golden State, Steph Curry is still a great player, so I think they're going to be in the mix. And still, the Lakers, I think, are going to be in the mix too. So I think the Nuggets will be the favorite, but it definitely is going to be competitive in the West.
Yeah, it definitely will. It definitely will. Because you're seeing a lot of guys get older in this league. Or the LeBrons of the world, Kawhi, Paul George is getting up there. Durant's an older guy. Like the West is, Curry, obviously, Klay Thompson. All those guys are getting older and they're kind of getting past their prime. And yeah, Jokic right now, kind of prime opportunity, right there with Booker, kind of right in the same age range. Obviously Morant, a little bit younger than them. So yeah, right now the West is really wide open. Yeah, I think Phoenix right now is probably their biggest threat. I'm not a big Frank Vogel guy. Like I I understand why they got rid of Monty Williams, but I don't really see much of an upgrade there. So we'll see. I know they got DeAndre Ayton too, but I don't know if they got the depth pieces like what Denver has. And I could see Denver absolutely win this division again or winning the conference again and going back to the finals next year.
Oh, easily. I mean, they have the best player in the sport. They're going to have the best player in the sport for the next 4 to 5 years, at least. Yeah. Unless like Wembanyama becomes unbelievable, because I think Jokic is clearly a better player than Giannis. I think he can just handle the ball better, and he's better at making guys around and making teammates around him better. And we saw Giannis this year we've seen Giannis in the playoffs. Some of these playoff performances for Giannis, blowing the 0-2 lead against the Raptors. Last year getting blown out in Game 7 against the Celtics, and then this year blowing 2 big leads in the fourth quarter against Miami. And his team was pretty much healthy. I mean, Jokic didn't get to the finals. Yeah, he got in the bubble. He got to the conference finals. Yeah, Jokic wasn't great in the playoffs. The Nuggets weren't great in the playoffs the last 2 years. But the big reason for that is they didn't have Jamal Murray. With Jamal Murray and Jokic, the last 2 times they've been in the postseason, they've been conference finals minimum.
Yeah, they have. They've been right there on the doorstep, kind of knocking at it the last couple of years, and they finally got over the hump this year. And yeah, you mentioned it. Murray was healthy. Michael Porter, I know he wasn't great during the finals, but he was finally healthy too. He's been somebody that's kind of battled a lot of injuries, since he was at Missouri. And then Aaron Gordon had like a really good postseason, in pretty good year. Like he's a former All-Star. I think people kind of forget about that. The top 5 pick, a couple years ago, and he was phenomenal. So yeah, Giannis hasn't totally been able to make guys around him better. He is great at attacking the basket. Again, but he's not the shooting still got to get a bit better. We've seen that. You do have to respect Jokic. Again, he's not going to shoot it lights out, but you at least have to respect him. And that's a 2 for me that kind of feels it's a difference maker between those two as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just and you look at the Nuggets going forward are in great shape. They won a title. They got the coach. They got the duo of Murray and Jokic, so they're in great shape going forward. This Nuggets team, and I think they are going to be the team in the Western Conference for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I think it's a change in the guard in this conference with all the veteran guys kind of aging, and the Warriors kind of getting to the end of that dynasty or the end of that core. So yeah, I think the Nuggets, this thing's wide open for them in the Western Conference right now.
Oh, without a doubt. Now we move on to the team that lost in the NBA Finals. That's the Miami Heat. And the big question is where do the Heat go from here? And really for the Heat, the big question is, can they win a championship with the team they have constructed? And I'm going to say no. Because it seems like every time, the last 2 times they've gotten to the finals, they've been completely overmatched by the Lakers in the bubble and by the Nuggets in this NBA Finals. And I think they need another guy. The Heat need another guy if they're going to win a championship. You could talk so much about Heat culture. But again, as I've said all throughout the postseason, great organizations only take you so far. Great players win championships. The Heat need more talent. They're going to be a championship team. That's why Dame Lillard makes perfect sense for this Heat team. Put Dame, Butler, and Bam together. That's a championship core. That's a core that very easily can get back to the NBA Finals, and that's a core that has the capability to win the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. They do need another guy. Damian Lillard, I think, would fit perfectly right there with that team. Yeah, because I think they just didn't have the power to do it. I just think they ran out of gas too. They played a hard-fought series in Boston. The Knicks, and then I know they took care of the Bucks pretty easily. Even the Knicks series, they kind of took care of business, but it just felt like they just didn't have much left in the tank there. And I think the Heat, again, the organization's great. But yeah, you need another star. I know you've always mentioned it. You need another star player around. It's the organization can only take you so far. The coaching can only take you so far. And that's kind of what happened to Miami here. Again, the incredible run yet again. You can't count out this franchise, but yeah, if they can get another superstar, Dame Lillard would be perfect for that team. Another scorer, and a chance for him to and for a chance for Lillard to kind of compete and win a finals, because I know Portland hasn't totally had. I know he made the conference finals once, but I think adding him to the Heat, that team definitely threatened the Eastern Conference, maybe even the favorite. We'll see what happens with the Celtics, this offseason.
Absolutely. I mean, this is Miami would be a perfect spot for Damian Lillard to go. Perfect. He's got a team that made it to the finals, and he is that piece that very easily can get them over the edge, get them over the hump that they've been trying to get over pretty much the last 4 years, ever since they got Jimmy Butler. Like first year they got Jimmy Butler, got to the finals and lost. Second year, I feel like they were a little tired playing in the bubble, and they lost in the first round to Milwaukee, who won the championship. Last year, they lose to the Celtics in the conference finals. This year, they lose in the finals again. I think Dame Lillard is that guy that's going to get them over the hump. I feel like he is the player that's going to get Miami over the hump.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The Miami's been close, and it just feels like they just need that one piece. And it's cool to see all these undrafted guys kind of find a home and be able to succeed in Miami and have a role. But it just, it only takes you so far. And if you can add a Damian Lillard for what they already have, they got some trade assets on that team. You give up a couple of those guys, and you can bring in Damian Lillard, who's a guy who's, seems like, could be looking to get out. And you add a guy like that at the point guard spot. He's a great distributor. He's a great shooter. I know he's not great defensively, but again, that's going to have to change in Miami, and I bet it will. And I think that Heat team right there that's a big threat yet again to Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, and whoever comes out of the West if the Heat get to the finals yet again.
Oh, absolutely, without question. I mean, him, Bradley Beal, they just can't win. This core can only take them so far. I mean, Bam and Jimmy can only take them so far. Now, they've gotten to the NBA Finals, but let's be honest, watching those finals versus watching, the finals last year with the Celtics and Warriors, and we're watching the finals with the Suns and the Bucks. These two finals that they were in, I think we kind of knew, even going in, who was going to win. Yeah,
I had Nuggets in 5. I didn't like disrespecting the Heat, but I just felt like the Nuggets just had too much firepower. I didn't know how much left was in the tank for Miami, and you just kind of felt like you knew Denver's going to win. You kind of figured Miami might have a shot just because of the organization and what they've done so far, but it just kind of felt like this was such a bigger task and just a tougher uphill battle, and it was. Again, when they won game 2, you kind of think maybe we have a series here, but that Denver goes back on the road and just kind of figures it out. And the Heat just didn't have enough. Lillard, Bradley Beal, another superstar you could kind of fit in there. Maybe they can win that final. So you can add another superstar in there. They're much more evenly matched with Denver.
Absolutely. So, fun NBA season. We'll be back next week talking about the draft, but congratulations to the Nuggets. They had a great year. They proved in these playoffs why they were clearly the best team in the NBA. But we're going to transition to the NFL. And yesterday, Stephon Diggs was not at camp for the Buffalo Bills, but today he is, mandatory minicamp for the Bills, but today he is at mandatory minicamp for the Bills. But this situation is a weird situation right now. Stephon Diggs did not like the way it was pretty obvious when you watch that game against the Bengals. He did not like the way he was utilized against the Bengals. Even Sean McDermott said yesterday, this is concerning. And even Josh Allen was like, we love the guy and we got to get things fixed here. I'm not concerned that he's definitely going to be a Bill, but is there concern about the chemistry between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs? I think there is a little bit, seeing what happened in the playoff game last year, seeing them only scoring 10 points in that playoff game and seeing that Josh Allen got outplayed by Joe Burrow in that game.
Yeah, there might be a little bit, it is, I think, maybe a little bit concerning. It kind of felt like, the way kind of Allen was talking about him and, kind of what happened last year in that game in Cincinnati. Just the way it kind of all fell apart for Buffalo, because they kind of felt like this could be their year, and it just kind of fell short yet again. So I could absolutely see it where maybe there is a little bit of an issue, nothing where he's going to sit out from, but maybe there's a little bit of kind of, maybe there's a little bit more kind of to it right now in Buffalo, and that maybe it could affect them. Maybe they figure it out. There's still a couple months before the season starts, and they hopefully, for that team's sake in that city, they'll hopefully finally get a ring that they can finally figure it out.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just, this is the Bills right now. This is their time. They got, a quarterback in their prime, a wide receiver in his prime. This is their time to get the job done. And we all know last year they were my pick. They were pretty much everyone's pick to win that Super Bowl because of the game that they had, the game against the because the game against the Chiefs where it was back and forth and they lost that game right at the end. But everybody thought going into next year, this is the team, this is the team, this is the team. And then they were 13-3, had a really good regular season, but they go out in the playoffs. They pretty much didn't. Were not impressive. They beat the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson, but they were not impressive in that game, and that led to them being absolutely terrible against the Cincinnati Bengals. And Diggs probably thought, this is the year I'm getting to the Super Bowl, because you looked at the Kansas City Chiefs. He's like, they don't have Tyreek Hill now. The Bengals are like, are they good, or are they just a 1 year wonder? But he realized after that game against the Bengals, we're like the third best team in the AFC right now. We thought we were the best team going into the season. So I definitely can understand the frustration from Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he was the one out there when they lost in that AFC Championship game a couple years ago, when he's standing out there watching the celebration. Like, yeah, you kind of felt like he wanted to get to that moment, wanted to kind of get that feeling of kind of not wanting to get back, or wanting to wanting to get over the hump, wanting to get to that Super Bowl. So yeah, I kind of feel like it was tough for him. And yeah, maybe he's trying to do whatever, trying to get there, doing whatever it takes, and maybe kind of some other guys maybe aren't. And yeah, because it kind of felt like because the concern with the Bills the last couple of years is it's like, are they built to play in their home stadium at in January? It just kind of, because they just haven't been able to win the football. It's kind of affected them a bit. I know maybe they can bring in Dalvin Cook this week, or maybe they could sign him, and that helps out that running game immensely, and maybe that helps out Diggs wanting to stay around. But yeah, I bet there's a lot of frustration with Diggs. He's obviously, the rest of the team wants to get over that hump and wants to get to Super Bowl. But maybe there's something going behind closed doors right now, and it's just guys are just a little bit frustrated with everything.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Dalvin Cook, last week the Vikings released Dalvin Cook, and we talked about the Bills and Dalvin Cook, and one of my three teams that I think he fits best on is the Buffalo Bills. And I know the Bills have, they have James Cook and Damian Harris, but let's be honest, they get Dalvin Cook. That is a huge pickup. You said it. That might make Stephon Diggs happy, because they played together in Minnesota. So I think the Bills would definitely be a team that Dalvin Cook would fit really well. Number two, and this is the team I think he's going to, because he's from down there. It's the Miami Dolphins, and I think the Dolphins. I know they need a running back. Raheem Mostert and Jimmy and Wilson and Mostert aren't that good, so they need a running back. And I think Dalvin Cook would be a really, really good addition down in Miami, and he's from there. That's why I think he's going there. And then third, I'm going to stick with another AFC East team, and I'm going to go with the New York Jets. They got Breece Hall coming off an ACL. Imagine Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook in the same backfield with Aaron Rodgers. That would be really, really good.
Yeah, it would. I got 2 of the 3. I got number one with the Dolphins. Yeah, he's from the area, played at Florida State. I know that's more northern Florida, but yeah, it's a team that made the playoffs last year. He'd be a big upgrade at the running back position. Because McDaniel likes to run the football, likes to scheme up, coming from that Niners offensive system, and they were not great last year running the football, and he would, help that immensely. Yeah, second one with Buffalo, his brother James Cook plays up there. Yeah, going with Josh Allen, that offense, Stephon Diggs, would help him in the playoffs playing at home. Last year was snowing there. That Dolphins game, I think it was, that Dolphins game, they struggled to run the football, or they just, the whole offense should have beat them big, and they couldn't. So I think Buffalo's another fit. And then number 3, the Chicago Bears. They have this cap space though. He knows the division, and it'd be a really good upgrade. And again, that division too is so wide open. I know Detroit's the favorite right now. Them or Minnesota. But I think Chicago could add a guy like that. If Fields can kind of continue to improve and develop, I think maybe Chicago has an outside chance of finding a way to win that division. You can add a guy like Dalvin Cook in your backfield.
Yeah, Cook would definitely be a good addition for the Chicago Bears. The Bears were like 4th on my list too, so I really like that too. But staying in the AFC East, DeAndre Hopkins is planning on visiting the Patriots today and tomorrow. This is a guy, if you're the Patriots and you're trying to compete in a division with Aaron Rodgers, with Josh Allen, with Tua, and those skill guys of Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, you can't let this guy leave the building. I know he's not as good as he once was, but if you look at Kyler Murray over the last couple of years, when he's had him on the field, Kyler Murray has been a much better quarterback when he's been on the field from when he's not been on the field. I still think he's one of the top 10 receivers in football. And if you're the Patriots, you need to help out Mac Jones. At this point, really, outside of hiring Bill O'Brien, you've done everything you can to set Mac Jones up to fail. You didn't put any good offensive talent around him last offseason. Then you hire a defensive coach to be your offensive coordinator, which is disgraceful. And even this year, you didn't go out and get really upgraded a receiver during the draft. You really didn't upgrade there. Your only upgrade you made was Juju Smith-Schuster, which you're pretty much just swapping out Juju Smith-Schuster for Jacoby Myers, his favorite receiver that you didn't re-sign. So if you're the Patriots, you should have a contract ready to go to give to DeAndre Hopkins when he's in that building. You don't let him leave without a contract.
Well, they did cancel practice today, so that the awareness is that they made sure to pay all the attention to DeAndre Hopkins today. I'm totally with you. I'm not getting my hopes up about signing him but I completely agree. If they want him, they better make sure that he signs before he steps back foot on before he takes a ride back to Logan Airport. You got to make sure you sign him because they need a number one. I don't like the Juju. I didn't understand the Juju one because you could have signed Myers for the same exact contract. I read this morning too. Bill O'Brien and Hopkins have no animosity towards each other, which is good. But if you want to compete in this division, you needed DeAndre Hopkins. I've said it. I'm a Jones believer. I think he can do it. I think he can be a top 10 quarterback if you give him enough around him. And again, I'm high on can Thornton have a big year, big kind of second year. I just don't, we'll see what Devontae Parker can do. But I think you got to get Hopkins. You got to make sure he doesn't leave. I'm not getting my hopes up because it's just the Patriots don't usually sign guys like this. But this would be such a big home run, and this would be huge for Mac Jones and that entire offense to get him because Mac was kind of saying it, pretty much said it's nice to kind of have a normal kind of offensive coach again. Kind of is the way I took it, when he spoke last week. So I think for Jones, this would be a huge help for him and trying to in such a huge year because you have to decide if Jones is your guy or not this year. And adding Hopkins, it's going to give you, it's going to tell you a lot if he's a guy or not for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to make that determination. And I think with what you've had around Mac Jones, especially over the last couple of years, it's not fair to make that determination because they've set him up pretty much to fail. If you can get a DeAndre Hopkins in there and he struggles, then you don't have your guy in the future and you have to draft the quarterback next year. But, if Hopkins if he's really good with DeAndre Hopkins, then you have your guy. So, people say, oh, the Patriots don't usually do this. The Patriots have to do this. They have to make a move like this to compete in this division because if they don't, they're probably going to finish in last place in the AFC East. Because I don't if they don't make this move, I don't see them finishing any higher than last place in the AFC East.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's going to be an uphill battle. It sucks. It's like, because I'm like, Bill hasn't beaten Tua yet. For how crazy that sounds.
Hasn't beaten Tua, and since Brady's left, he's only beaten Josh Allen once, and that was a total fluke because the wind was like 25 miles an hour. The weather conditions were terrible. That game was totally in the Patriots' favor because the way the Patriots play and the way the Bills play.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a nice steal there, and then you saw what happened the next time we went up to Orchard Park.
It was not pretty.
Later,
not pretty. It wasn't pretty.
No,
almost put 50 on you guys.
Yeah, they did. I turned that game off at halftime. That thing was over 5 minutes. But you're strong again. I know they beaten the Jets now 12 consecutive times, but that's going to be a challenge now.
Yeah, but they beat him, I think it's 14 consecutive times. But did Aaron Rodgers play in any of those games? And Tom Brady played in half those games. So that's irrelevant. The 14 in a row against the Jets, that's irrelevant right now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I know we've beaten him 14 straight times, but it's not going to be that easy anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So the Jets want to beat them because I don't think anybody on that roster is beating the Patriots. So, it's going to be, you got to sign Hopkins to have any chance in this division or just if not finishing last in this division. It's going to be tough, but they got to make this move. I know they usually don't. I'm not trying to get my hopes up because I don't feel like they're going to make this move, but I hope I am wrong here and they do, but we'll see. And yeah, they definitely need a big guy. They definitely need Hopkins like this because they really haven't had a true number one. I always loved Edelman, but like he was never like a top 10, top 15 receiver in the sport. He was good, but like he was not a Randy Moss type guy, or he's just not, he was never like he was good, but like, never felt like he was one of the top in the sport. But yeah, it'd be great to get a Hopkins in there with Mac Jones right now.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And yeah, they really haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since the 2019 season in Julian Edelman. That's the last time they had a 1,000-yard receiver. So in 3 years since Brady has left, they've not had a 1,000-yard receiver. So they can't let him leave without a contract. They have got to get this done. New England has, because they failed to go out and sign Orlando Brown to improve the offensive line. So the offensive line is still going to be middle of the pack because it's good on the interior, not good at tackle. So this is a move that has to be made, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It does. Yeah, I don't think Trent Brown had showed up to practice yet either. So yeah, that helps her. Even though I can't stand Trent Brown, I don't think they're not like that they got him back. But yeah, their offensive line's not going to be great. They do need a guy like Hopkins to help out that offense. It just, I think, give any Patriot fans some hope on this year. I know kind of people think maybe they could find a way to get 9-8, but again, I just, with that division, I think that's going to be pretty impossible to do right now with the way the offense is constructed.
Absolutely. So now we'll move on to the Giants and Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley has still not signed his franchise tag yet. It still has not been signed. And he's obviously not at mandatory minicamp with the team. And there's some rumors out there that he might sit out the entire season this year. And for me as a Giants fan, I don't mind him playing for the franchise tag. And I'm on the side that I really don't want to give him a long-term deal because I've seen what's happened with these long-term deals with these running backs. Look at Christian McCaffrey. The Panthers signed to a long-term deal a couple of years ago. He's on the 49ers now. Ezekiel Elliott, he got signed to a long-term deal. That results in the Cowboys having to cut Amari Cooper, and he's no longer on the team now. And you look at what happened to Dalvin Cook this week. So I am not in the camp of signing Saquon Barkley to a long-term deal. I'm just not. And people are saying that oh, he's the Giants offense, which is total nonsense, which couldn't be more untrue last year because Daniel Jones had a really, really good season. I mean, and there are I have examples of how Daniel Jones was a big part of the Giants offense and was as big of a part of the Giants offense as Saquon Barkley was. Week 5 against the Packers in London, drove the team 91 yards down the field for a touch to tie that game without and Saquon was hurt. He was not on the field during that drive. You go back to week 16 against the Vikings. Guy was 30 for 42 for 334 yards and almost won that game against Minnesota and gave the Giants confidence that they can go into Minnesota and win that playoff game. Then we go to the game which the Giants clinched a playoff spot in against the Colts, where Daniel Jones had 4 total touchdowns. And then you go back to the Minnesota game where he threw for over 300 yards and won that playoff game for the Giants. And here's the big question. When was the last time Saquon Barkley rushed for over 100 yards in a game? That was week 10 against the Houston Texans. I'm not saying that Saquon Barkley is a bad player. I think he's a very good player. I think he's still a top running back in the league. But his value isn't what it is. This is the lowest his value has ever been with the Giants because they got a legitimate quarterback right now in Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's tough to pay a running back long term right now. It just is. The shelf life is just so short with these guys. And look, Barkley's a fantastic player, and he'd be great to keep around. But yeah, like it was been reported that the Giants offered him between like $12 million and $13 million. I wouldn't go any higher than 12, and 12 I think is a lot for running back.
I'm not going higher than 12. I am not going higher than 12.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. 12 would be my cutoff. And if he's not taking that, I don't blame the Giants for kind of sitting there and not giving him any more. And look, the one thing I worry about with this is Daboll's comments were interesting, kind of saying I'm going to keep those conversations with Barkley private. Because I'm like, look at the last time Mara got involved signing a guy long term. That was Eli. And again, that set you guys back a couple years. I know
Eli, OBJ. Don't forget about OBJ. Don't forget about OBJ. Yeah. That was a mistake because we ended up trading him and that cost us $16 million in dead money in 2019. So yeah, when Mara, do not get Mara involved in this. Please do not get John Mara involved in this. Let Joe Shane make this decision. That's why you're paying him to make this decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Mara likes, he treats all of like his top kind of draft choices like his kids, but yeah, he's got to stay away from this one. He absolutely has to because he's gonna ruin. Again, you go more than 12 million, it's gonna ruin your it's gonna kind of ruin it. And I think, yeah, you kind of set it back a couple years. I know you mentioned too, they drafted Eric Gray, who I think is a really good running back. Kind of Oklahoma. He won that 1,400 yards rushing last year. You got Matt Breida. Like, again, you could see these, look at the Chiefs last year with Isaiah Pacheco, 7th round pick out of,
he did the job.
Rookie.
He did the job.
Yeah.
I guarantee you Breida and Gray could very easily do the job. If you have Breida and Gray rush for, 65 yards, that's 120 rushing yards. That's worth Saquon rushing for 120. Okay. It's not worth paying Saquon a ton of money and then not being able to pay a guy like an Andrew Thomas. I would much rather pay Andrew Thomas than pay Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd absolutely would too. You got to protect your franchise quarterback now. Again, it's unfortunate for all these running backs now because Barkley's one of the better ones in the game, but it's just too much of a risk factor for these teams to go out and go sign these running backs long term. It's really unfortunate, but it's the way the business is right now. And again, look, who's the fullback anymore? Like that's out of
one team, the 49ers. That's it.
Yeah, the Patriots don't even really use one.
No,
anymore.
They used to back in the day with ever since James Devlin left.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep. There's very few college teams that use a fullback now. Like, it's the way the sport is now. It's a pass heavy league and all kind of football. You've seen college level too is a pass heavy. Most of the offenses are. So it's unfortunate, but like I think if I'm the Giants, Barkley wants to sit out, let him sit out. He's got zero leverage right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let him sit. Let him sit. If he doesn't want to be a part of this team, let him sit. Let Gray and let Breida do the job. Let him sit. We got Daniel Jones. We added a weapon in Darren Waller. We got Jalen Hyatt. Sterling Shepard is going to be back in this receiving corps. There's a ton of depth in this receiving corps. We're going to get Wan'Dale Robinson back. I know those guys aren't proven in their names, but it's depth at the position. And we have that. We have depth at receiver. We got Breida and Gray at running back. So I know they might not put up the same production as Saquon Barkley, but we'll see what happens. Saquon's Barkley's value is as low as it's ever been with the Giants. So I am very comfortable with him playing on the franchise tag, and I think he'll eventually sign it because he's not going to give up $10 million. But I'm on the side of not giving him a long-term deal right now.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. You just can. Yeah, you got to let him play on the franchise tag. I know he may not want to, but it is what it is. And, like if he sits out, look at Le'Veon Bell. Look what happened to him. Destroyed his career for sitting out pretty much.
Exactly.
I can't imagine Barkley makes that same mistake. So, if I'm Giants, I just let him sit there until he wants to sign, or if he really wants to sit out, let him. He's got no leverage.
Absolutely. So the Yankees have another big series with the Red Sox this weekend. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, so the Yankees lost a tough series to the Red Sox this weekend, but they did bounce back last night with the win over the Mets. But there still are some concerns with the Yankees, and I think one of them is still the offense. I know they scored 7 runs last night. I know they bounced back, but part of that is because of who the Mets had on the mound. What a waste of money that guy has been for the Mets. Well, that's another story. We'll get to that. Later on in the month. But I mean, but the Yankees, offensively, this was the only out of all the games Judge has missed. I think he's missed. I'm doing math here. I think he's missed about 19 to 20 games. They've only scored last time was only the 4th time they scored more than 4 runs in a game when Judge has missed more than when they haven't had Judge in the lineup. So I think this Yankee team, this offense is still. I know they had a good game last night, but I think the Yankee offense is still a real concern for this team. I definitely think it's a real concern. And without Aaron Judge, I think this offense is pretty bad without him. You look at the Red Sox series; they scored a combined 7 runs, and then the Red Sox are not trotting out Pedro Martinez and Kurt Schilling. Okay, they're trying out Brian Bello and Tanner Houck and Garrett Whitlock. They're not trotting out Pedro and Schilling out there. And then the Yankee offense only scored 7 runs combined. That's very concerning. Also, I think another big concern for the Yankees is Luis Severino. I think Luis Severino has pitched terribly these last couple starts. He was awful last night. He was lucky that Max Scherzer was even worse last night, and that's why they won the game. But Luis Severino has been awful for the Yankees. That's another concern. But getting into the positives about the Yankees, I think Domingo Germán has pitched well. I know you don't like him, but he's pitched well. And I do think this bullpen is outstanding. I think this bullpen is one of the best in baseball, and it will be the best if they make Clay Holmes the 9th inning guy. I think they should. Last night did an outstanding job getting out of that bases loaded jam. It was bases loaded. He struck out 2 guys. It was McNeil and Lindor. That was outstanding by Clay Holmes. In his 18 last 18 appearances, only given up 1 earned run. So I think Boone needs to use him as the 9th inning guy. And if they get a consistent 9th inning guy in this bullpen, I think it's the best bullpen in the game because of the ERA and the way guys have pitched, the way Michael King has pitched, I know Peralta wasn't good last night, but the way Peralta has pitched, and the way Marinaccio has pitched, the way these guys have pitched, I think their bullpen is outstanding. So the Yankees, I mean, yes, I know you can get frustrated about the Boston series, but they're still 39-29. They still get the second wild card. Ironically, they actually have a better record than the Astros right now. They're half game ahead of the Astros. I know they're far behind Tampa Bay, and it's going to be very hard to catch Tampa Bay, especially with the balanced schedule this year. I think we only play Tampa Bay 6 more times, so that's going to be very, very hard to catch them with the balanced schedule. But the Yankees still staying afloat without Aaron Judge.
Yeah, staying afloat. Yeah, it was. They got down 5-1. They somehow came back against Max Scherzer. But, yeah, he's been horrific this year. Yeah, him and Verlander, $86.2 million, I think the salary spent on those two. $86 million going to those two. So, yeah, it's been tough for the Mets. So, yeah, you'd like to finish them off with a sweep tonight. But, yeah, this offense this weekend was pathetic. Willie Calhoun. Did you ever think, we must have Willie Calhoun in our lineup?
I know. Willie Calhoun was a big reason they won on Saturday at the big home run.
Yeah, he was. And, again, that's not a guy I would ever picture wanting to see in the lineup. I know he was I think he was part of that Yu Darvish deal when he came to Texas. And he was a top prospect in baseball. So, I don't think we're going to get that. But, yeah, it's been, he's been good for us. But, yeah, the rest of the lineup, Stan hit a home run last night. But, Rizzo's been awful. He's 1 for his last 30, right? Or he got a hit last night, so he's 2 for his last 34 now, I think. Rizzo's been bad. LeMahieu finally hit a home run last night. The lineup is just completely out of it's just not very good. And hopefully Volpe figures some things out. I know the stance changed last night.
Oh, he had a good night last night. He had that big double last night. So he had a good night last night.
He did. I again, why doesn't he just try to hit doubles? Why is it always try to hit a home run?
He's got to learn. He's got to learn a double is as good as sometimes a double is as good as a homer.
Yeah, especially with his speed. So if he can get on third with us, he's 14-14 on stolen bases this year. So look, hopefully the offense kind of continue to figure it out. But I have to give credit to Herman. I know I don't like him, but he pitched well Sunday night. He gave him a chance to win the game. That's all you can ask from
Saturday.
Saturday night. Yeah,
they won that game
night.
Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he pitched well, but the pitching stats kind of kept him in it. Yeah, I'm worried about Sevy. Everything was up last night for Sevy. He couldn't get anything down the zone. So yeah, I'm worried about Sevy too, and maybe that's the reason why the Yankees haven't signed him long term yet. So we'll see. I'm concerned. I don't, they're 8 back. The A's have kind of helped out the Yankees this week, somehow. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And yeah, hopefully this weekend they could bounce back against Boston. They're Boston's having a rough week.
Oh, absolutely. And going into the Red Sox, you win 2 out of 3 games against the Yankees. You think you're coming back a little bit, and then you can't even beat the Rockies. You can't beat the Rockies. They scored 3 runs on Monday night against the Rockies, and last night Cutter Crawford can't get out of the 4th inning. I mean, this Red Sox team is in big trouble right now. 33-35, 5.5 games out of the wild card, and I think I'm thinking this. There's a chance Chaim Bloom might not make it past the All-Star break. I mean, they've lost 5 straight games to the Indians and the Rockies. The Indians and the Rockies, 2 teams that probably are not. I mean, the Indians might make the playoffs because the Central's terrible, but 2 teams that might not even make the playoffs. And the Rockies definitely won't, and the Indians might not either. So the Red Sox, they take 2 out of 3 in Yankee Stadium, and they can't beat the Rockies. So inconsistent. They completely fooled the fan base. And they have to win games this weekend against the Yankees, or their season might be over.
Yeah, it kind of trending toward that direction. So they lost 15 in the last 20, but 9 of them have been by 1 run. So it's like they just got to get over that hump. Like that's the big thing right now for them. And at home this year against NL Central and the Rockies, they are 1-10. 1-10 against the NL Central. So
that is terrible.
Yeah. They got swept by the Pirates. They got swept by the Cardinals, and they won 1 game against the Reds. That's gonna hurt them. Like that's a big time kind of hurt. Those are games you got to make up, especially in that division. You got to win those games, and they just haven't. Connor Siebel, their old buddy that they DFA'd, he had a 10 ERA with them last year. Pitched outstanding Monday night. They had bases loaded, nobody out. Devers' first pitch, chopper to the pitcher, double play. That was it. Again, they've been, and I know Monday night, tough. They didn't get back to Boston at 3 a.m. You got to play Monday night, but yeah, it's still not, you still got to beat the Rockies. And yeah, to lose the first 2 there, I don't know if Chaim's going to get fired by the All-Star break, but yeah, I don't know if he's coming back for another season. They don't make the playoffs. I just don't. Core last week was kind of talking, kind of put some blame on the defense with the errors, kind of, said, the roster's the way it is what it is. We can't do anything about it right now. Like he kind of was talking like, I'm not going down with the ship.
I wouldn't. I honestly would not. If they bring back Chaim Bloom, if I'm Alex Cora, I'm looking for new jobs. I honestly am, because he's just not going to win anything with his team. He's a good enough manager. He's a top manager in the game. I know the cheating scandal and everything. I know, but as a manager, he's one of the top managers in baseball. He should be managing a team like this.
No, he shouldn't. It's Boston too. Like you got to go out and spend. You got to have a better roster than this. Again, Paxton's looked pretty good. Like that's something that they could kind of look forward to. But look, it's Sale said it when he went in the IL a couple weeks ago. Like he was finally starting to enjoy baseball again. He looked kind of like the old Chris Sale, and it's unfortunate that he got hurt again, and he's probably not going to come back to maybe September. But like I don't know if there's a guarantee that he's going to step on the mound again. I know they're hoping, but who knows? So. Yeah, it's frustrating. I know that whole organization is frustrated. Bloom, I'm not a big fan in that city. He hasn't gotten ridiculed yet because they barely talk about the Red Sox in Boston. Like it's
I know they talk about the Celtics offseason and then the Patriots. The Red Sox have been they're just not interesting. I think a lot of the fans know they have no chance. So they're kind of still floating under the radar. But still, I mean, for the job Chaim Bloom has done. The fact that they're losing games in different ways, like Monday night they lost because they didn't hit. Tuesday night they lost because of their pitching. Also, they lose Monday night because of their bullpen. It's just there's so many holes in the roster. They lose games in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. They have. The defense has hurt them a couple of times. Like, I think they got the second most errors in the American League right now. The pitching hasn't been great. Again, Jansen's kind of been your bright spot out of the bullpen. I know he had like that one bad week, but you're kind of hoping Paxton kind of figures it out, continues to play, pitch well. Cassis, they were kind of high on. He's batting 200. I know he had a good weekend. Adam Vall just came back. He's still hitting pretty well, but there's just so many holes, and it seems like a new night. There's a different way to lose. I know Pavetta's pitched well, the bullpen. Verdugo's having a nice year, batting 285, but Devers kind of, he woke up against the Yankees.
Devers has been nasty. Devers has been outstanding. Devers is an MVP candidate. I mean, he had 2 home runs against the Yankees. He had 2 home runs last night. Devers hits 2 home runs and the team loses. That should never happen. He's one of the top players in the game. He hits 2 home runs and the team loses last night. That should not happen.
No, it shouldn't. And, he's got 17. He started to heat up this weekend because I think before this series, he went like 50 or 60 plate appearances without a home run. Like, he's starting to the power's starting to come back, and he's starting to turn the corner. He always kills the Yankees. Always.
He owns Garrett Cole. Hit a home run off Cole on Friday night. Yeah.
Friday. Yep, he did again. And, Yoshida's been a nice pickup too. And he loves using that monster, which is smart.
I get it. Bloom has made some nice pickups with Yoshida, and he signed Devers, and then he got Kenley Jansen. The problem is, if you're not going to re-sign JD Martinez, if you're not going to re-sign Mookie Betts, if you're not going to re-sign Xander Bogaerts, get some pitching, and he has not gotten that since the time he's became the GM. Maybe, all right, Michael Wacha had a good year last year. That's really his only guy, that the only good pitcher he's signed.
Yeah, who won the pitcher of the month in May? Valdi and Mike Wacha.
Yeah.
Two guys. If Valdi wanted to come back, I'm not totally sure about Wacha. Like, Waka's one that I thought could have been pretty easy to sign back. Like, it's a little confusing why. And I know they like Whitlock, they like Houck and Cutter Crawford, and I know they're hoping Sale was going to be finally healthy, but I don't think you could bank on that though. Like, I know you want Sale to be healthy, but you can't bank on it. He's been so injury prone, unfortunately, for him. So the pitching staff going in was always a big question mark. And they didn't make a ton of improvements besides really bringing in Kenley Jansen. Winkowski's been good this year. He's been much better in the bullpen. I know John Schreiber has been a revelation when they got him last year, but he's still out. I don't, maybe the end of the month they're hoping they'll get him back, but it's gonna get late early for them. Already down 2 back, and it'll in this division, it's tough to try to climb out of the basement.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's almost impossible without. This is the best division in baseball with the Blue Jays, the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Rays. And the Orioles and Rays are playing so well; they're going nowhere. You might be able to beat out the Yankees and the Blue Jays, but that's going to be really hard. And it starts this weekend. It starts this weekend for the Red Sox against the Yankees. And the big question is, obviously, we spent time on both these teams. Who needs this series more? And I think both these teams need this series. I think both teams really need this series. For the Yankees, they need this series. The Yankees need this series because they don't want to lose another series to the Red Sox. If they're going to be a championship, they're going to be a team that's going to contend this year. They can't lose and go out and be 2-4 against the Red Sox. They need to win that series. And for the Red Sox to really keep their season alive, they're 5.5 games out of the wild card. To keep their season alive, they have got to win this series. If they want to keep it, because if they don't, they're probably going to be 7.5 games out. And they got to leap over like 2 or 3 teams in the middle of June. That is not a place you want to be. So I think this is a big series for both teams.
Yeah, it absolutely is. For the Yankees, to get some confidence back, and nice to beat the Mets last night. You would love to get another one tonight, and hopefully 2 out of 3 against Boston. It's a team you kind of got to beat right now in Boston. It's not a great team. I know you're missing Aaron Judge, but it's a team you got to beat right now, even without him. And with Boston, to kind of feel like you got any chance to kind of stick around and to give that city like any hope that this team can kind of contend for a wild card spot. You feel you got to get 2 out of 3 this weekend because again, it's been a miserable week. You lose 2 out of 3 to the Rockies team. That's not very good either. They're all their top guys are hurt. Bryant, Blackman, CJ Crone, like they got so many, their top weapons are hurt. Brandon Rogers, like they're missing their top guys. So yeah, it's been disappointing for Boston. And yeah, they got to win 2 out of 3 or even try to get a sweep and hope that just to give that city some confidence and hope that Boston could, that Boston media could talk a little bit about the Red Sox heading in July. Because if not, it's going to be all Patriot talk from July to September.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If they don't win this series, I think that there's a very, very small chance they make the play. I think they're done. If they don't take 2 out of 3 here, I think they're pretty much done. Because I think it's 7.5 with all the teams that got the leaf over. They'll be 7.5. Just assume they beat the Rockies tonight and they're like 34-35. If they lose this series, they'd be like 35-37, 7.5 games out of a wild card spot. I think they're pretty much done if they don't win this series for the Red Sox.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's just gonna be too much of a uphill battle for them to kind of climb out of. There's gonna be too many teams. I think you're gonna have to jump as well, and they'll go to Minnesota afterwards, who not great, but they'll have Minnesota, Chicago, Miami coming down. Like the rest of the month isn't great. Like Miami's been good. Like you got 3 teams that the White Sox haven't been great. The Twins are decent. Miami's kind of been playing well, but it's a couple series you can beat. Maybe you get yourself rolling into July when when you head up to Toronto to begin the month, and maybe you got a little something going. So look, we'll see. But yeah, I think it's a huge series for Boston. They got to try to take 2 out of 3.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now looking at this series on Friday night, you got Herman against Houck, Saturday Schmidt against Bello, and then Sunday Yankees don't have it named a starter, and Paxton's going for the Red Sox. I think the Yankees take 2 out of 3. I know they don't have Judge, but I think they're gonna bounce back this weekend, and they take 2 out of 3 over the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 2 out of 3. Smith's been pitching better too. He pitched well.
I'll give it to him. Yes, he's pitched better.
Yeah,
yes,
he's
I'll
been
give
better.
It to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Boston wins Sunday night with Paxton. Sevy's I think the guy in the rotation that's supposed to go. So it's interesting that they haven't named somebody yet.
Ooh,
so
yeah, it is definitely
something to look for. Something interesting. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Yankees got to take 2 out of 3 this weekend.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And before we get to the hockey, our man Frank is here. He's listening right now, and he said it. He said it. You were right. I was wrong. He said he said it. Oh, he said it, and he gave us credit. He said, let's give him credit though. He said talk to you guys after the finals. The finals are over. He's talking to us, so we'll definitely give him credit for that. And listen, for his beat, heck of a year they had. I mean, that was a phenomenal run in the playoffs. So we definitely got to give him that. And then he got a nice comment here. Go Yanks. Thank you for that one, Frank. And thanks for listening. So, hey, Frank came back, talked to us. We got to be happy about that.
Yeah. Sorry for him by your heat, but yeah, heck of a run. They'll be back next year at some point in the playoffs, and yeah, they could go out. Don't again, not surprising they make a run again as like a 7-8 seed. It's never surprising. And yeah, go Yankees. Hopefully they could sweep the Subway Series tonight and sweep the struggling Mets there, who are just tough year.
Exactly. But to wrap up the show, we'll talk about another team that was crowned champions this week, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights. And they left no doubt last night. That was a party in Vegas last night. That with them beating the Panthers 9-3. And the big question is, Justin, why were the Golden Knights? Why were they able to win the series in 5?
For Vegas, Aiden Hill was unstoppable, or just an absolute. He played really well behind the net in net. They kept their foot on the gas last night. They got, they couldn't do anything last night. They got up 2-0 early. They scored early on shorthanded goal, and they pretty much put them away. And they just, it was a war nutrition too. Ekblad, one of the Florida defensemen, he said, he's played with a broken foot since the Boston series. He separated his shoulder. Frank
said it. He said he'll bust our chops next week on something. Oh, I bet you will. I definitely bet you will bust our chops. And he says against another damn Florida team. And yes, it's Florida. Miami was kind of similar to Philadelphia. Philadelphia had the Phillies and the Eagles get to the World Series and the Super Bowl, and then you guys who had 2 great runs. I mean, nobody expected any of these the Panthers or the Heat to get as far as they did, but unfortunately, they both lost in the championship. But still, nobody expected those teams to get as far as they did.
No, and then hey, basketball, the Cal Bath Miami Hurricane. Nobody expected that.
Yeah, the Final Four. Yeah,
I did have them in the Final Four. I'll take credit for that. I didn't want a couple. I like them to go on a run, but yeah, another team nobody really kind of thought much of. So yeah, it's been unfortunately none of those 3 could make a finish it off. But yeah, three pretty good runs there for the South Florida teams last couple of months. But yeah, going back to the Knights, they just had too much. Ekblad was and Matthew Tkachuk in Game 4 played with a broken sternum. He couldn't even play last night. They had to help him dress in game 4 because he couldn't do it himself. So I think Florida just ran out of gas. The injuries started to pile up. Vegas just had so much talent. They had so much depth, and Florida just couldn't match it. Bobrovsky played really well in game 3. There's some blame on him, but I can't put a ton because of just Vegas just kept coming at him. I think he tried to do everything he can, but I also think he kind of wore tired at the end too. And Vegas last night, again, game 4, Vegas went up 3-0. Florida fought back to get it to 3-2, and there's another couple minutes. I think Florida could have tied that thing. But yeah, Vegas made sure, like in the Western Conference Finals against Dallas, they kind of blew a chance to clinch it up game 5 at home, and then they went down to game 6. They didn't want to go back to Florida, and they made sure of that last night.
Oh, they sure did. They sure did. Now we'll kind of take a local angle on this with the Bruins. Did they? I know the Bruins broke the all-time wins record, but did they make a mistake firing Bruce Cassidy, who coached the Vegas Golden Knights to a Stanley Cup?
After the year I saw Boston have, I think it's one of those things in hockey where it just kind of ran its course with coaching. I think he was tough on the guys, and I think it kind of, again, and you see a lot in hockey. Some of these coaches just wear out their welcome, and they just and I think the Bruins needed a new voice in that locker room, and I think Montgomery bringing him in was a good idea. Now, I don't think Cassidy would have lost, like up 3-1, and Montgomery, that team kind of just folded and they couldn't finish it. Yeah, I think if they had Cassidy, maybe they don't blow that series, but I think they needed a new voice in that locker room. I just think he just wore out his welcome, and we see that a lot in hockey, unfortunately, for some of these coaches. And look, might happen in Vegas for Cassidy. Who knows? I've always liked Cassidy. I think he's a really good coach, and again, it's a Vegas team that nobody really thought had a chance to win a cup this year.
No, not at all, and he led them to that Stanley Cup. Now, one final thought. Peter Laviolette hired as Rangers head coach. I personally thought that they moved on from Gallant too quickly, but do you think this is going to work for the Rangers? I do, because he did win a cup with the Hurricanes in 2006 and led the Predators and the Flyers to the Stanley Cup final. I like this hire with Peter Laviolette. So I do think if they're going to get rid of Gallant, I think this is a better coach. I think Laviolette is definitely better than Gallant. What do you think of the Peter Laviolette hire?
Yeah, I do like it. There's another one. He's going to be tough on the guys, and we'll kind of see, because Gallant was the same way, and I don't think the players responded. I just don't think they did. So that'll be interesting. I was hoping that Pittsburgh was going to let go of Mike Sullivan. That's the guy I wanted. But look, I think Laviolette's a good hire. I think he's your second best option. I think they kind of were hoping Quenneville was going to get out of the Anchos and let him go. I think that's a better idea that they didn't. But yeah, I think Laviolette could lead him the cup. He's done it before. I think Ovechkin missed some time this year. Like that core is kind of getting a lot older, and I think maybe that's part of why they didn't make the playoffs this year. But yeah, I like the hire, and I think it's good for the Rangers. And again, this is like for Drew, he can't miss on this, because I don't think he's got great chances of making a third hire if this one goes wrong. So I think Gallant and him didn't, because Gallant said after they lost, he's like, I wanted more forecheckers. I didn't need more stars. I needed more forecheckers. And it sounded like Gallant or Drury didn't just him and Gallant did not get along very well at all.
Yeah, it seemed like it. That's why Gallant was gone in 2 years. But that's going to wrap it up for Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about the NBA draft, the Yankees and Red Sox, and any NFL news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are not. They're even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Burn, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting ClovercrestMedia.com.